you probably know me well, so if I said I'd put a few notes together, I knew it was God help us. That's where I get through John and back. But I promise I'm not going to sing, so I'm not breaking the pattern. So I'm going to do.
Sing at the house.
I'll sing at the house. I need a couple more Jamesons, but I wrote a few notes down, and thank you, Matt, for your wonderful toast, patriarch of this next generation, and also Shannon and Colleen for your thoughts about Mom. And so I jotted a few things down, starting off to Marguerite A. Flannery, 80th birthday.
Did you know today's the feast day of St. Marguerite?
St. Marguerite.
Is it really?
I was surprised.
I did not know this, but that's
Say that again, real loud,
that's why the
Shannon.
Holy Spirit had us pick this day. So it's St. Marguerite.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's why I suggested it.
Okay.
Subconsciously.
So born January 14th, 1933, as Dad often referred to you as Pretty Peggy-O. And that little curly head in the high chair of Joseph and Peggy Nolan. Growing up, spending many years, joyful years at Villa Madonna, then on to the University of Cincinnati, then a stewardess for TWA on all the flying adventures back in the day when that was a pretty big deal. Having the opportunity of being introduced to many interesting people on those adventures, such as a young man, his mom walked back the aisle and a fellow said, excuse me, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. He's very special, and he offers a lot of promise, and he's going to do big things in his life. He was a young senator, and it was Senator Bobby Kennedy.
Oh my goodness.
And then also on the flip side of the coin, Mom also was introduced sometimes to not so good treatment, such as the verbal mistreatment of a certain Augie Bush. And Augie was very lucky that red-headed, short, postal inspector, gun-toting Joseph P. Nolan was not on that flight, because I don't think Augie would have gotten off that plane. But then marriage to Young, his mom referred to him as Handsome Joe Flannery, June 9th, 1956. And then on to Price Hill, where that chapter's greatest signature.
It's the gene.
God help us.
It's the gene.
Price Hill ain't that good.
Greatest signature, Manti Joseph Patrick. And then on to 16144 Greenfield Road in Detroit, Michigan, where the signature there was giving birth to two Wolverines, Michael Patrick and Shannon Marie. On to Erlanger, building a bridge over to our homestead of many, many years, fondful years, 5354 Foley Road in Delhi, where the greatest signature was the birth of Colleen Elizabeth and Mark John. And of course, Tar, with two R's. Not giving birth to Tar. And giving us a fantastic family to grow up in. Could not have been better. And then 1321 Mimosa Lane, were a gathering place for all of us, plus 15 grandchildren. And a family that now is extended on to a great-grandchild, Dylan Michael. And then onward to a little retreat overlooking the beautiful Ohio River. I know, Mom, I know you miss Dad very much. I know he's here this evening with us, and I know he's often with you in your little retreat overlooking the Ohio River, which is what he would have wanted. We all have meaningful moments in our lives. Sometimes we're stopped flat and we notice them. Other times it takes a whole lifetime. And because so many of these meaningful moments, for me, with Dad, came to me years after, continue to come to me years after he's gone, which I wish I could have told him. I want to take a moment, just go through and express these to you. Knowing full well that knowing the good DNA that you have, we'll probably have at least 20 more years opportunity to tell you. But I didn't want to wait until you've moved on to the better side. So some meaningful moments for me due to Peggy Nolan Flannery. For the fun, picnic lunches and dinners at Delhi Park, and all the joy that brought our family. For the freedom you gave Matt and myself as very young lads, hiking into the woods, building tree shacks, and then one day seeing this glorious scene of you and the babies and Mrs. Nolan hiking a pretty good distance into the woods to find our tree mansion.
That was Mary Ballman.
Mary Baldwin, what, didn't I say Mary
Oh,
Baldwin?
I thought you said Mrs. Nolan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs.
Yeah.
Mrs. Baldwin.
Mary Ball.
Where Terry had the highest level because he was the oldest, Matt and Cato's, and of course Matt's was the best constructed for obvious reasons. And mine was the lowest since I was the youngest, but complete with another structure in the opposite tree with that sign that said, warning, no girls allowed. We made the exception for the day that you came to visit us. For sacrifice, dropping me off to serve Mass at 6 a.m., and making me breakfast so I could eat before school, walking down and watching the nuns already through their breakfast and picking berries and just in awe of how early they got up. And then for the patience, when I wasn't expressing sainthood that week of serving Mass, for putting up with my shenanigans and mischief at school. For generosity, after finding my allowance jar had been emptied, paying for 50-cent horseback riding lessons, after you discovered that and continued to support me, which enabled me to then have Flash in my life and wonderful years raising Flash. To the support of getting up at 5 a.m. on Saturdays, taking me to the Junior Zoologist Club. For the fun on fantastic family trips to Natural Bridge, to Ivydale and Pipestem, West Virginia, to the Bluegrass Festivals, giving, in those days, giving Matt and I the tremendous biology lessons that we discovered when we noticed that the hippies were also nudists when they went swimming at the pond, until Colleen discovered it too and yelled, "Mom and Dad, there's naked men and women down there at that pond." And then the biology lessons were over. For the blessing, the opportunity when money was tight to allow me to transition from banging on pots and pans to actually learning the drums, and I so much appreciate that to this day. For fun and support of driving Matt and me to football practice in that 1967 Austin Healey 3000 and seeing the fun on the other fellows' faces of watching that cool sports car come up, but even more fun watching this little lady driving this stick shift with overdrive flip switch when many of the mothers didn't even drive. But even more fun of watching how you saw out the window underneath the steering wheel and just barely over the dash. That brought a lot of fun to our lives. For the joy that you brought in these moments, Mom, when you and I were at the mother-son breakfast and walking up to receive an honor letter my senior year, and the joy in my heart of seeing Mr. Rosing's shock and dismay that he was handing an honor letter to Michael Flannery, who was my freshman and sophomore French teacher, but then walking back and seeing the true joy in your face. That meant a lot. For the seed plantings, trips to Coney Island and Kings Island, and I remember watching these aerobatic shows going on, and you must have caught a glimmer in my eye, and I remember you clearly saying, "One day, Michael, you might be up there." And sure enough, that dream came true. There was a seed planting there. Your encouragement, Mom, in all of our lives, my own experience through early college, going through Amway and putting on these presentations with knees knocking and selling soap, and then going on to my business chapters and celebrating successes and receiving encouraging words during my failures. To the celebration moments, my marriage to Kath, birth of my children, the celebration moments of the birth of all these children and the others who are not with us here at the dinner, whose hearts are. The sacrifice through the late 60s, 70s, and 80s during Dad's alcoholism. and getting a job, taking care of the family, and keeping us together. And more importantly, for showing us the formula that deep faith plus true love does equal miracles. And when we had suggested strongly that you separate, you didn't give up, and you taught us a lot. And you gave us the gift of reintroduction of Dad to his true life, and in reintroduction to us of our true Father. All your volunteering, your faith in action, St. William's Choir, all those years of going during the Christmas Eve masses, pregnancy centers, all of your activities at St. Dominic's and the Welcome Center, you truly have taught us a lot. And Mom, your life has been a wonderful collection of meaningful moments, and it reflects a passage of that great song, and no, I'm not going to sing it, but one that I know you and Dad loved so much for so many years, sung by Louis Armstrong, who made famous. And it's, I see skies of blue,
Great song.
Oh.
clouds of white, bright blessed days, and dark sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Mom, thank you for your support, patience, your encouragement and sacrifice. And thank you for your examples of faith and faith in action. And most of all, thank you for your love and showing us that despite it all, we truly can live in, oh, what a wonderful world.
Oh.
Happy 80th birthday. God bless you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.